always had that little footing in being in an aspect of marketing.
Don't think about it as a stigma, but think about it as an opportunity that you can grow.
You start to form your own strengths that somehow could come to work together for you in different roles and functions. The reason being is we're so busy. I always say in marketing is a real rush because while you're executing, you're also planning the next phase.
Yes. Esther, how do you transition from HR to marketing manager? How that was for you? Yeah.
All right, so I would have been the human resource manager for Wonderful World. And while I was there, I actually had this interaction that made me realize that I did have a big passion for marketing. It was a digital interaction where I was trying to find a way to improve the recruitment process. And at the time, directors would have decided that they wanted to do a website for Wonderful World. And it started off with me being involved in it for the recruitment sense of side of it, which is was to set up the back-end platform, learn the administrative platform on the back end of how to achieve retrieving all of the respective resumes and also posting the applications onto the website. So it's kind of like creating like what you'll call like human resource management system through the website portal. And we decided to do interviews for people that were working with Wonderful World in excess of like 16 years. And some of them even 40 years in terms of service. And I had to go into the stores, do a full setup, coordinate with the videography team, coordinate with the managers themselves, to do the interviews. And that made me get a little introduction into marketing because I had to really be involved in certain things. And then from that project, my director, she would have then pulled me into other projects indirectly, even though I was the HR manager at the time. And it really left a passion for people, which is something that brought me into human resource in the first place. And in understanding more about the business and the buying decisions, I started to lean more to a marketing side. And I then got a wonderful opportunity to work with an agency. And in working with that agency, I got my feet wet. And it just went from there where I ended up getting an internal job with an organization, which was a multinational. So I got to work with international brands within the local and regional markets. And here I am today now a marketing manager. So it's just been a real piloted journey. And I also don't want to forget that there was a point in time in my life where I was just a promotional girl.
Okay, and how was that?
That was, well, I mean, at that point in time, it was hustle, if you know what I mean. It was about, I needed extra money. I needed to go to school. I needed stuff for school. And I was like, you know what? God bless me with a little looks. Let's go out there and let's see what can be done. And I would have gone to one or two little agencies and they got me lined up with different brands. Started working as a promotional girl. So I always had that little footing in being in an aspect of marketing, which was now coined as consumer marketing because it's an interaction with the direct consumer through sampling and promotions.
I would like to touch on promotions for you short because it have like a stigma behind it. And I want like women to come out and talk about why it is that some men just have that sort of stigma when someone doing promotions, especially women, that they have an issue with it because at the end of the day, it's a start. It's a start that it could direct you into marketing, it could direct you into sales, it could direct you into owning your own business one day. So I think that is a notion that I want, people to understand, and even for the millennials, young women, to really know that, hey, you can start this. Don't think about it as a stigma, but think about it as an opportunity that you can grow. Everyone has to start somewhere.
Right. So there's something I consider, it's called sense appeal. Sense appeal is what appeals to the human senses. The sense of taste, the sense of sight, which creates desire from the human side.
And
a lot of women, obviously, becoming a promotional girl means you have a desired look that people want to interact with, people find you approachable. So this is what would have led you in the first place to be selected for promotions. Then also from the promotional standpoint, you need to have a certain decorum about yourself. You need to be able to interact with people, share product information, because you're representing a brand in that moment when you're wearing that company's uniform. So it's not something that I would say is just based on that more sexual side, where men would, I guess, in a sense, being men, would say that, women who are into promotions are probably into other things. No, it's also, it's a brain consuming task. It's not something that you're just, for example, you're doing a promotion in a supermarket, you have to go into the store, you take the stock at the beginning of the promotion to articulate your return on investment for your brand manager or whomsoever the information is going to. So you have to have a sense of brain about what you're doing. And then on that point, while you're running the promotion, you're pushing for sales. So you're conversing with consumers. And while you're conversing with consumers, they will challenge you. They will ask you questions about the product. They would ask you questions about your competitor's product and say, well, why should I choose this product over the competitor's product? So you have to be able to mentally articulate a response to that consumer that will convince them in making an actual purchase of the product you're promoting today. And when they make that purchase, you then at the end of the promotion must account for the difference in change of stock so that you can show that there was a return on investment for actually being a promotion of this. It's not, as I said, quite a brainless task.
It's not a chicken and task, and promotions is something that needed. It's not something that is a one, because how will you market your product? How will you get customers now to really feel, consume your product, to know if it's something good?
Yes.
And I just want to go a bit further in the sense that you mentioned about you was in human resource. So what sort of struggles, when you were there, you faced that maybe someone who is watching this session, this program, could be like, let me try to overcome, whatever being faced with in your time as being a human resource manager?
So being in HR is a very finicky position because you stand between your employer and the employees many times.
Right.
Of course, you're employed. So you have a job to do that. If it is your employers are not pleased with the final results of your actions as HR personnel, you could also be terminated. So there is a very slim tickler that lies there for anybody within that profession. And I think that would have been the greatest challenge of all, working as an HR person.
You never had to go like industrial court, some employee had some issue with you? Of
course, you would have had moments where the Labour Board would contact the organization and they would ask questions about something that may have happened, because it is your right to go and seek consultation. So yes, I would have had interactions where I had to, what we would call mediate. And probably before it reached a matter, but it has to go before the industrial court. Many times we would try to mediate on a ground level. I would have worked side by side with major institutions we have locally, but local bodies that help to govern that process. And that is how I would have mitigated those tasks. And I also say another challenge with the HR position is, remember, you are responsible in a sense for somebody's bread and butter. And you hold that person's life in a sense in their hands. Your job is like a sense of how you plan your life. If you know, okay, I'm making money this month, I'm going to go on a trip next month, I'm working towards this, I'm working towards giving my child braces or whatever it might be, it is a very key factor. So you know that you have people's life in your hands in a sense.
And as a human resource manager, I know that certificates is something most important. Myself personally, I look at attitude over aptitude, because I'm seeing a lot of persons right now who have their qualifications, and when they come to do a job, they're not being an asset to the organization. So you can't just come and tell me you have a degree, a master's, and I expect the best out of you, and then after your probationary period, I'm not seeing that. And then you still want to retain your position. So as a human resource manager, did you see things like that happen where persons who extremely qualified, they come into the job and it's like you have to retrench them because it's not making any sense? And when you hire someone based on attitude, you realize that they really excel within the organization?
So I had this line that I wrote and I kept it on a sticky note. Hire character, not skill.
Love that. Yeah.
Because the right characteristics of a person, even if they don't know all the facets of the job, because of the nature of who they are, they would naturally adapt, and they might, as I would say, outperform somebody who you may have hired with the skill set already. So I always tend to say lean towards character. And I can see that I have done a lot of successful hires in my tenure while I was an HR person, because today I still go to some of the stores and I see the same managers that I would have brought on still working, which meant that I really made good decisions in the sense that I wouldn't say I made the decisions, because of course all decisions had to be approved by my directors.
But you started.
But I started and leaned them in the right direction, which meant that I did do some sense of an efficient job in regards to recruitment. Yeah.
And let's go a bit further now. So in the position of marketing manager, how it was when you started and how you saw yourself excel within this new title?
Well, working from, obviously, I would have worked my way up in marketing. I would have started off as a coordinator, which would have meant that working with the agency, I would have had to coordinate the promotional girls for different executions, coordinate the executions themselves, make sure the promotional booths were ready. So it gave me that side of the experiential side of marketing, which is where a consumer goes to a supermarket, they bounce up a promo booth. That's an interaction point where they get to interact with a particular product and try it, test and trial, as we like to see, and maybe take away something on that particular day, to a memorabilia, as we would say, what we will call a premium.
Okay, yeah.
So that they can remember that this is a top of line product, so we stay top of mind to the consumer. So it is something that I could say I moved from gradually, worked my way up. So then working with a coordinator, I would have then been placed on like a company project, managing a team of merchandisers for, it would have been beauty and personal care at the time. And I would have had to work with the different reps. And in working with the different reps, I would have had to become their mentor and guide and do rostering and scheduling of when they would work. So it took me into different aspects. And then I also had to start aligning myself with the company's KPIs for what they wanted to achieve from having these sales / merchandising reps in the different locations. And that would have then taken me another step higher.
Yeah.
And eventually the organization really liked how well I worked, that they brought me, I was offered a potential position when the opportunity arose, and I was able to move in with the actual company. And that would have then progressed me onward. So I would have gone there and like what you call like a category manager level, and it progressed from there.
So you would say that you were excited to know that you started as coordinator, then went your way up, then just the transition from human resource manager to straight directly to marketing manager. So if you had transitioned directly to marketing manager, you think that you may not excel the way that you wanted?
I actually think that I often have to remind myself that it's not about your destination, but it's also about your journey.
Yes.
Your journey is very important. And along the journey, you don't always see the things that come into your life that make sense. So you may have had an interaction with doing, like I said, I could say I've played around with different roles and different functions. Like I've had a little dab in real estate. I've had a little dab in different things. And like in understanding different business modules, as I would say, you start to form your own strengths that somehow could come to work together for you in different roles and functions. So in marketing, because of how multifaceted marketing has become, because it's not just executions and interactions, it's management of digital platforms such as social media, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's a very different arena now where you have to be multi-diverse in who you are. You must also have a sense of creativity, because remember, it's not just visual. You're dealing with visuals, visual representations, audio representations, because I mean, thanks to TikTok with ASMR, sound is also equally as important. Jingles, things we recognize. I always like to fondly talk about Royal Castle's theme song. It's something that we all patronize with because of the years we've heard the song play, and we feel it's a local, because it says that local something. We see that pride whenever it plays. I've actually seen it play in events. You know, it shows you the loyalty of not just being focused on one aspect of the interaction with a consumer. You have to think about the full 360 interaction.
Awesome. And I love that you mentioned about social media platforms. And to me, once it is that you are in the corporate space, you could even be a hairdresser, a nail technician. I think that LinkedIn is the platform where if you are limited in Trinidad and Tobago or the Caribbean region, you have the opportunity to connect with persons on a global scale. So I want persons to not focus on Jobs TT or Caribbean jobs, but focus on LinkedIn, building your personal brand, because you may have your resume, which is your hard copy, but LinkedIn profile is your digital resume. I actually see companies now asking for your LinkedIn profile rather than your hard copy resume, because it tells more about you. And then if you are active, creating consistent content, whether it be carousels, whether it be actual posts, type-based or video, it will enhance their experience to understand you as an individual.
Well, actually, I think I have a point here. Because I come from the HR and the marketing side, I can tell you two things about LinkedIn. As an HR manager, why they're now asking for your LinkedIn link is because it's like your public resume. Meaning to say it's very hard to fake what you've posted on LinkedIn.
Someone now could create your resume for you. Like your hard copy.
Question the authenticity of what you have online, because they know you're not working there anymore.
Yes.
Or they know that you did not do the tenure that you said you do, or you did not hold that title. People are less likely to lie in the eye of the public.
Correct.
So you can lie on a written piece of paper, but when it's on LinkedIn, it's like it's kind of out there.
Yeah.
So people can say, well, she's fake her stuff, or he fakes his stuff. So in a sense, that's why a lot of HR managers are going there. On the second coin of it, as a marketer, talking about LinkedIn, I think as a marketing person, we often forget to market ourselves.
Yes. Because at the
reason being is we're so busy. I always say in marketing is a real rush because while you're executing, you're also planning the next phase.
Yes.
So you always have to be mentally in two places at once. And while running those two functions, we tend to forget that, okay, I am a marketing, I am a business. I need to be posting that, this is a recent accomplishment, or we recently held this execution at TIC, and what was the feedback, and did I feel that it was really fruitful for my company to have participated? What I felt could have been done better, just sharing general information and sharing your mental acknowledgement of the strategic positioning for your company, and showing that your command of marketing strategy, basically, so to speak, it's like a way to sell your personal intellectual capital.
Love that. And the thing about it is that with LinkedIn, everyone has their own DNA, right? Yes. As an individual. So by what you post, by what someone else posts, it will signify the difference between different individuals. So I want persons to create your own content, because I see a lot of persons, especially in Trinidad, repost other person's content, which is not bad, but you want to create your own because you have your own DNA.
So I like the point you made earlier about hairdressers. So a lot of hairdressers will be like, how does LinkedIn serve me as a platform? And this is a spin-off I can give from marketing strategy. Basically, there's a very big corporate side of being a woman in a leadership position.
Yes.
You always have to attend functions. You always have to be present at PR events, media events. So there is that avenue where you can offer a service as a hairdresser for corporate bookings, which will be outside of your scheduled hours of operation at times. So you do certain corporates. So you can do a corporate runway example. You know that, all right, Scotiabank is doing I'm just using a random business, is doing a photo shoot of all their in-store managers. You can have yourself as a hairdresser that has a registered team and can come with you and do a service on that day of the shoot. So you get corporate business. And you now become a registered provider with that organization, that if they have other future public events, they will know you're on call. I have a hairdresser, a makeup artist, a barber. The sky's the limit. So I think even for people even creatives, they don't always see the ability of LinkedIn. And I could say I've actually seen one or two influencers recently add themselves to the platform. And it was quite inviting to see them, because they have become a business in themselves, because how they present themselves, how they work with their brands is their business forefront. And it's very important to post their work.
Yes.
I mean, yes, TikTok has given them that platform, but for the corporate world where there's corporate recruitment happening, even as a marketing manager, I like to see your LinkedIn platform because I get to see your portfolio naturally while I'm browsing it. It's about speed to and efficiency and taking things at a first glance.
And what I love about LinkedIn is that in sales, you have to qualify your prospects. And with LinkedIn, you have those high-paying customers because they have persons at high corporate levels. And you are able now to go onto someone's page and see what is their title, if they are CEO at Republic Bank, First Citizens.
Correct.
So you automatically qualify that person there, just like how someone will come into a financial institution and want a loan, they would need to present some sort of criteria, job letter, payslip, and all these different things. So actually having a platform that you can see who it is that you would like to target, I believe that's a game changer. TikTok might have the highest organic reach, but it don't have that opportunity where you could actually search someone and see where they work and their title.
Correct.
And what it is, I would like to ask you, you would like to let the audience know, especially young women, how to really transition maybe from being a promoter into like an actual corporate role, because sometimes some women have the interpretation that a promoter is something that they can't really excel into something better, but I want that stigma to just demolish and that encouragement, that empowerment for them.
As I said, after it would have naturally happened for me after being a promoter for such a long period of time. I guess the natural progression was to move to coordinator because I knew the ins and outs and the workings of what made a successful promotion because I was doing it.
So I think that's key. So from being a promoter, you coordinate and you work your way up because some people don't know the steps. And that is where persons like yourself, who've been there, done that from experience, could really let persons know the strategies needed in order to improve.
It is.
So thank you very much for your time. This interview was awesome. I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope everyone who watching would really take some information, some serious nuggets of information from it.
Indeed.